sweet Mary Jane, ganja, spliff, reefer, the bad, the Buddha, the homegrown, the ill, the Maui, the method, pop, lethal, turbo, Thai, shake, skunk, stress, wacky, weed, blaze, the boot, dime bag, Scooby-Doo, Bob, bogey, backyard boogie.
Oh my God. It's the Culinary Weed Show. Yes.
And that's Sasha.
Oh my God. And we're live. Jesus Christ. That was the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. We're live on idobi Radio. I'm sorry. I am making gurgle sounds in the microphone. We're live on idobi. Very happy, of course, to be here. Today is February 16th, 2026. If you're listening in the past, that's cool. If you're listening in the future, I hope he's dead. And I like to timestamp our shows, but they are evergreen. But today is President's Day. It's also Lunar New Year's Eve for those who celebrate. But it is President's Day today. It's a holiday today here in the United States of A, where we, I guess, honor the presidents or something. It's a bank holiday, basically.
Yeah, it's a federal holiday. All federal services are closed.
Yes.
We take time to, we're going to take time to reflect on 250 years of presidents and cannabis. Hemp.
Well, we did this a couple years ago. First, we're going to smoke. A couple years ago, we did a show. You were like in Florida, I think. I did it from your apartment for some reason, or your studio. And
My studio apartment.
your studio apartment. Yeah, we did. I was like, I really want to do this show. Like, we did a President's Day show, and we did talk about our founding padres and what they did with weed. First, I want to talk about what I am smoking. Okay, wait. Puffco, out of the Puffco, right?
Yes.
So I just put like a lot of concentrate papaya.
Like a pretty heavy dab.
Like a pretty big dab. Is it, in your estimation, okay if I go a little bit warm or a little bit warmer, or maybe the peak setting?
I'd
Or
go.
is that for like more sessions?
I would go with the blue. Stick with the blue for the first
Still with the
one.
blue? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Just for the
then
first one.
maybe go up on your second or third dab.
All right.
Increase the temp
If you say so.
for optimum flavor.
That's why I asked, because I knew you would have advice. I'm going to, it's fire in the hole. So what are you smoking?
I'm smoking. I have some up north lamb's bread.
Lamb's bread. Lovely. Up north. They're reliable.
Yeah, they're keeping the land races alive. They're
Love to see
creating
it.
new strains. They're delicious, small batch, crafty grow, and they're always on point.
How is it?
Let me see.
I must know. Because I've been thinking a lot about land races and like how we're all talking about not necessarily going for THC percentages and how all of the genetics are so, oh my God, I'm so sorry, are so crazy now. I was just thinking about how I would just love to see companies really commit to getting good cuts of real land races, not some made up stuff that isn't land race. It isolates some good cannabinoids like the CBs.
Some legit land races and some legit pheno hunting
Yes. Come
to
on.
bring back those genetics and invigorate whatever new strains are on the market.
Yeah, it's not like I don't like the newness. Love that new. And I love silliness. Like I love a Frankenstein dessert strain or something. But that, like, I would just really love to see a true blue landrace strain make its way back and really dominate, because that's going to get you, that's more medicinal than anything else. So I also got these are fun. I got these from, I went back to Nile over here in the hood, in the spot. My delivery guy came and he threw me off because he asked for my ID, and like, duh, right? But like, you know, sometimes you forget. And I had a fat tip. You know, I tip really fat. You know,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do. You
Hell yeah.
can vouch for me. I'm a fat tipper in every single regard. You see my name, you're getting a big tip. Doesn't matter how good you did, especially if you did good. A tip you triple. Oh, I got upstairs, I put my hand in my pocket, and I was like, no. The money was still in my pocket. So I texted you frantically. I was like,
You
what do I
did.
do? What do I do? I literally cried. And you were like, you can call the dispensary. And I was like, yes. So I actually called the number that he called me from to let me know he was here. And he was already out. And I asked him if he had any sort of cash services. And then he broke up. He may have said yes. I don't know. I hate talking on the phone. The whole thing was horrible. But I hope I get him again. I'm gonna need concentrates, and so I hope I get my dude, and I can give him double the tip. It's hard out there in those streets driving around delivering weed. You know,
It is. And if I saw your name again on and I was delivering, I would grab it immediately. I'm like, send me
she
to
owes me.
taking this one.
Yeah, at least I called.
You
If he-
did.
if
You
he-
made the effort.
Yeah, I tried, but still, I do feel badly about that, and I needed to get it off my chest. But just know that's not typical. I just I get flustered. This is good. Oh, I was talking about these manja munchies. So they're called manja munchies, which I think is fantastic, and they have caffeine.
How many milligrams of the THC per gummy?
10 milligrams per.
And then how much caffeine
Now,
is in there?
I'll be completely H. I looked for it and I don't see, wait, hold on. Don't see the caffeine content. So I was like, I believe it, but I only see the THCs and the V's and all the things, right? It's called Extreme Pink Lemonade. They're really tasty. And
It's got THCV in there?
yes.
Okay.
Doesn't say that on the front.
That's weird.
Yeah, it
But
is.
does it say caffeine somewhere?
It literally says with added caffeine, 100 milligram total THC. And then on the back, you have your,
All your
cannabinoids,
cannabinoids.
all your terps and such, and total cannabinoids, 118 milligrams. So about 11 milligrams per serve. Total THCV, 5 milligrams. That's very interesting to me.
It sure is. Maybe they got THCV confused with caffeine.
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's supposed to do the same, right? THCV is the
Similar
energy one.
effect, but
It's the Adderall one, right?
It's yeah. But we have some drinks that have caffeine in them, but they're labeled that it's 100 milligrams of THC, 100 milligrams of caffeine.
I swear it doesn't say it on here. It says like the calories and the carbs and shit, like your nutrition.
Yeah.
But no caffeine there. Huh. Well, if anybody has any tips on what is going on at Ganja Manja, let me know. Or Manja, whatever.
Ganja
I like
Manja?
them though.
Manja
Excuse me.
Ganja?
Jesus Christ. Manja Munchies are the name and the website. Well, you can, if you have any questions, you can email GM Product Care at ganja-manja.com. I'll send it to you later. But honestly, they're very good. So, and I took a couple before the show. So I do feel like I'm uplifted. I mean, that's what THCV does. No surprise there. But I didn't put it together because I also wanted to do it live on the air, that there was THCV in there. And I was looking for the caffeine. I was like, I don't see any caffeine content in here because I knew that would be your question, as it was mine. But it was, we just living this life for the first time together, all of us, and who knows what was going through their mind. But I am curious, but they're good. If you're, I have a feeling these are probably like local. Take another one. Keep me up all night.
Yeah, I don't know if we know how much THCV we really need just yet.
I was just gonna say that.
Like, because there's some that have like 2 milligrams, or some that have 5. Some is like a 1-to-1 where it's 10 THC, 10 THCV, which I think is kind of a lot, in my opinion.
I
like,
took 10.
10? It's
THCV.
10 and 10? Okay.
Well, no. It's
like
10 to. It's a 2-to-1.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you got 20. You got 20 THCs in your body and 10 THCVs.
And 10 THCVs. Yeah.
Okay.
Just swimming around in there. Yeah.
Swimming around the brain.
The old dome piece. Yeah. But I think you're right. And I think that that's something to note. Like CBN and stuff, I've been telling folks that CBN is so helpful, but it's, I guess, like anything, right? Like too much of it will not help. Post me.
Yeah,
Too much of it is too much of it.
it could be counterproductive.
Yes.
Like last night,
Totally.
I took a little too much of my tincture because everything hurt in my body.
Sorry, I
I
didn't
had
mean to laugh.
It's okay. I had to go through the looking glass to come out the other side. I was
Yeah.
a little bit pain free when I woke up this morning.
Yeah,
Afternoon.
it's always worth it. Just gotta stay hydrated. But again, like those isolations and stuff, they are better when they're dosed. So
For sure.
and I think that that's actually interesting too, because instead of me taking like 95 gummies, if I get myself a CBG situation, CBG, CBD, THC, and it's all dosed out in a scientific way, then I'm a pretty happy camper. I love the science. I love the newness, but I feel like we can't get lost here. Can't get lost in the newness. And what an age that we live in.
The golden age of cannabis.
Beautiful cannabis. Now, we're going to take you through just a little bit. Actually, we're going to take a break. We're going to take an early break today.
Okay.
We're just going to just take a break. And when we come back, we have just kind of a part 2 of what we did a couple years ago. We talked about the founding fathers and how they were like super into hemp. And we'll go over the last, what did you say, 400 years of...
Yeah, 400 years
Yep.
or so.
Yeah, in 40 minutes. So I figure might as well take a quick break. And I will try to stop coughing and making squelching noises in your ears. We'll all be right back.
The nerds will be right back. It's never too late to join the sesh. We salute you. United States of cannabis. Under all 50 strains. One pre-roll. Under bomb. It's the Cool Nerd Weed Show.
And we're back.
We're back.
It's the Golden Ray Show. That's yes.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live. God damn it. I'm a mess for literally no reason. I feel like I'm so sorry you're getting this version of me. I'm not even that high.
Well, I had your fancy, I left your fancy ashtray outside because I had a blunt in it and it rained. And so I cleaned it out, but it was still wet at the bottom of your ashtray. So the joint that I put in there is now wet and ruined. So if you're watching me during the break,
That's
I couldn't light
ass.
it. A total ass.
No.
But I'll be okay.
Well, that really upsets me. You don't have anything at hand to grab?
I've got something. We'll be okay.
Come on. So we are celebrating President's Day. Just kidding. We are not celebrating any fucking presidents, but today in this United States of A, it is a holiday. It is President's Day. And the reason why weed is so weird in the United States is because of the government. So we are, and around the world, it's pretty interesting. And I hope that we get to a place where we were when the founding fathers came and stole this land. How they feel about it. And we're going to try and just keep this focused on presidents and their weed and how they feel about it. And we can just talk about the facts.
History as the nerds see it.
Yeah, through the nerds' lenses. I cannot promise you I won't go off the rails in some way. But we're going to do some histories. We're going to do some histories because we're nerds. So way back in the 1600s,
Oh,
where was hemp?
We got to go way back. Yeah, 1619. Hemp cultivation played a crucial role in the early colonizer days of Jamestown, Virginia.
Yes.
It was produced as a necessity for everyday life.
Yeah, it was normal. It was not like a hallucinogenic. It was just like the cannabis sativa plant or whatever. And it was...
Yeah, low THC, fibrous. They used the seeds for lamp oil and feeding
Tons
their
of stuff.
livestock.
Super strong. And it was on track to be just one of your main crops, you know. It wasn't seen as that crazy of a thing just to have mad hemp sold and traded and everything.
Yeah, it took like 120,000 pounds of hemp fiber to actually, like, for one British naval fleet ship, required that much hemp for its gear, its rigging, its lamps. It's a lot. It's a lot of hemp.
And it was useful. So the founding fathers, like George Washington, that dude, he, as we had mentioned in that show we did a couple years ago, he had mad plants that he was cultivating, mad farms, hemp farms. He was like, I'm going to make some money off of this. I'm going to be a hemp farmer, bro. You know, normal. This was just like a normal thing, you know?
Yeah, it was an everyday crop. The early colonizers were actually forced. They were forced to grow it. And if you didn't grow it back in the day, you could be fined or actually put in jail for not growing hemp.
Imagine that because you don't have weed on your property, you're going to jail. Wow. Interesting. So they were really about that life. So they said, grow weed or else. And they did that for a while. It was used as paper. Paper was invented and shit. Mass making books and all that jazz that was made on hemp paper. It was really for about 300, 200 years that it was pretty much the best thing that could ever happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what did we start? We started in the 1600s. We're up into the mid 1700s. Benjamin Franklin grew his hemp in 1770. So that's 150 years right there. John Adams believed in hemp.
All of them.
We're almost up to the 1800s right now.
We're up to the fourth president, right? Is James Madison? Is that what you said? No. Yeah, you said James Madison?
John Adams.
Okay, yes. James Madison is in. He seems like him and maybe a generation after were still down. The government, hemp wasn't even an issue, wasn't even a blip of bad on their radar. In fact, all the way up until that time, it was seen as shameful if you didn't have hemp. You were useless.
Yeah, you were a true patriot if you were growing hemp for the colonizing efforts.
Yeah. So I guess at the turn of the 20th century, it just started to go sour, and you can always draw that back to racism. Always. And Google is free, and we also talk about this on many other shows. Today is just going to be the show about the presidents, how they feel about weed in a timeline history fashion. I will say there is some land giving and taking, mostly taking on our part with the Mexican indigenous people here, and this really pops off at the turn of the 20th century, and World War I is about to pop off too, and things are going to get real. Things are in the next 40 years in terms of the panic that overtook this land and most others, and it was an easy thing to target. It is a part of other cultures in a different way, and in a way that is used to, maybe they saw a different way to commodify it, to consume it, that wasn't just making ships and paper and shit. Maybe this was medicinal too. Maybe it helped you relax. Maybe whatever. Maybe it was part of a ritual. But boy, did white people not like that. In the 30s, your boy.
1937.
Your boy.
Harry Anslinger, the Bureau of Narcotics Commissioner, probably in conjunction with the timber industry, the Hearst family.
Yeah.
They pushed to implement the Marijuana Tax Act that regulates the import, cultivation, possession, the distribution of hemp and cannabis.
And this was now picture, I don't know what to compare this to now, but this was sweet. This was a turning point for this country and these presidents, because these presidents until this point did not let that happen. But in the 30s, the world was really going through it at that time. Barely even recovered from the big World War I, on its way to the big World War II. People were in a state to be influenced and propaganded. And you have your boy Harry come in just screaming baby in the bathtub. How easy is it to be mad? It's just a scapegoat. It's just literally, that's what weed became. I'd argue it is in racist sensationalism roots. That's just my argument. But if you would like to make a different one, then I'll hear you out. But that's when it starts to take a stark turn. And the president at the time let it happen.
Well, it's crazy because in 1930s classic film Reefer Madness came out,
Yes.
the propaganda film, which is everywhere.
Right. Propaganda was pretty big back then. And now.
Yeah. They were
Also now.
it's just you know, you don't have to go to the movie theater to see it. You in a newsreel, it's just beamed right to your hand, the propaganda machine in your palm of your hand. Anyway.
Now there's a pause in the propaganda when World War II happened. All bets were off in World War II. You fucking got your women going to work. You got everything going on because we need you to participate. Hemp makes a big comeback because it's strong. The industry has a little bit of a surge, and then
patriotic again.
Right. But now after World War II, we're getting into the Truman era. He's just like, let's start the dreams of scheduling drugs. How can we criminalize and put people in these private jails? How do we do it?
Signing into law, mandatory minimums.
Easy.
That's how you do it every time.
Because weed was super cool just 100 years ago. Just a century ago, everybody was like, you're a fucking clown if you don't grow hemp, you clown. Now, 100 years later, like you were getting cussed out if you didn't grow weed 100 years ago. Fast forward to 1951. Flash forward to 1951, and we're done. It's all over.
First-time offenders are facing 2 to 10 years in prison and fines up to $20,000, which is equivalent to $200,000 today. Can you imagine 1951? You got a little bit of weed. You're facing 2 to 10 years in prison and a huge fine.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. It becomes very, very like quickly lumped in with other issues that got out of hand in the country and things that were accepted and okay before all of a sudden aren't. And there's a lot to do with a moral shift, but it's also, like you mentioned, like, then the industries come in, who was being lobbied by a tobacco or something, you know what I mean? Just like an anti-weed, whatever, for whatever special interests, like who knows all of the reasons why these presidents decided that was the time drugs and weed should be illegal, but they did. And it really fucked things up.
It's always the special interest groups. They don't have the interest of the people in mind. It's the interest of the businesses that control America.
Mm-hmm.
And in the early days, it was the timber industry.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted, hemp was cheap, easily grown, sustainable, but they wanted to cut down all the trees for the newspapers. People that had the property with the trees, the Hearst family.
Totally. What is it threatening? You can just, I guess, weed is very classically follow the money situations. And it's just wild. It's wild to see kind of where it wound up, because now keep fast forwarding. So we just get worse as the years go on. Every president is just making it worse for weed. And then,
Truman to Eisenhower.
And then officially Harry Anslinger is in the White House now. So that's basically how the Trump administration is. You know what I mean? You just keep, or any, like, even like whatever kind of weird shit that's in politics now, it's just, you can trace it throughout the years of all of these things that got worse and worse. And you're like, damn. So I feel like weed, there's like a direct correlation of just the money and how weed is treated. But the difference between weed and other industries is that I think we got to a point where we can experience it more and quicker, and word got to spread quicker. Back in the 60s, when Harry Anslinger was like basically forming the DARE program, you didn't have travel, you had mass communication, but not in the way that we do now. So propaganda worked, but there was no other way to know otherwise, because you start getting arrested for having, 0.14 grams of weed on you, of marijuana cigarettes, and now you have a record, So
you're locked up for 2 years.
Yeah. So now we're at the 70s, full on culture war. Fucking Nixon.
Yeah. Tricky Dicky Nixon declares public enemy number one, launching the war on drugs.
One President's Day, we did a whole show on Tricky Dicky.
We did.
We did
was
a
a good one.
whole show. It was Sticky Dicky Tricky Dicky, I think is what it's called. It should be up. But it is good. Yeah, bruh. It only gets worse. Really, literally, for the next all presidents. Obviously, the Reagans. I mean, Nancy Reagan really went hard on that. I mean, she firmly, and again, it's culture, but it also, who knows who was giving money to who for what interests. And sometimes those interests, most times those interests are nefarious. So I can't imagine it's all for their morals, like the moral majority. They don't have morals. It's all their monies and their pockets. And that's really the story with weed too, which is unfortunate. So yeah, Ronald Reagan literally calls it a battle in the 80s. Like you're fighting like a battle in the streets for weed and drugs, and America's just so. And meanwhile, there is a drug epidemic. There is epidemics happening.
Yeah,
but they're more manufactured by the government than they are helped at all.
Totally. 1986, Ronald Reagan signed an anti-drug abuse act that gave law enforcement almost $2 billion anti-drug efforts, and also created
Sounds familiar.
29 mandatory minimums for drug offenses. And it was all lumped cannabis in there too, with drugs like heroin. It was also the time where they made that mandatory minimum for crack cocaine, which was like 10 times worse than having like powdered cocaine.
Yeah. Again, but as aforementioned, a lot of these problems were manufactured by the government and in communities of color, and that is where this all stems from the beginning. So just so you know, by the time it's 1989, everybody's still fucking racist, and now we have Bush.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not going to be the one. Yeah, the first one.
First.
The first one. Yeah.
Senior.
Bush Part 1. That's happens in 1989. He certainly
even
does.
further.
He hates it.
Targeting horticulture equipment companies in the late 80s. Anything that could be offered for growing cannabis. Operation Green Merchant, which I do. There was a lot of the old school like cultivation shops like you'd go into, and they were absolutely, they could not say, you could not say you're growing green tomatoes or anything. You could not talk about what you're growing or what all the indoor gear was for. And if you made one mention of it, you were kicked out. But a lot of these guys were targeted and, horticulture equipment, 1989.
Now we're entering the paraphernalia. I mean, we're entering just like, horticulture, like you're growing equipment. Now we're entering some really, really difficult times. And by the way, it is also worth mentioning, like, not only is it we just lumped in and just demonized from the jump, actively blamed for people doing heroin. I remember in my first DARE fucking class, like, that is what they said. Like, you smoke weed, you'll be shooting up heroin in your arm. And whether or not that's true for some people, I can tell you, weed, more often than not, was not the reason that addicts were created. And I think there's a ton of reasons why addicts are created. I think you start with weed, and then because you're in this, I feel like weed is like guilty by association a lot of times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it was always the black market item. So where in any black market, if you might have these other things available in that market. And
that's not, and I just think that, like, it was such a manufactured problem. And it also, at the same time, simultaneously, they would point to weed and say, that's the gateway. So if those of you who dabble in the harder drugs, you go on with your bad self. I'm not one to judge. Circles, for me, it was not a natural progression. And when it wasn't because I started with weed and I just wanted something harder. I mean, and maybe it is for an addictive personality, and that's a different issue altogether. This is the demonizing of weed that we are seeing in the 80s, actively of weed, not just of all drugs. And like you said, powder cocaine, not so bad. Crack cocaine, weed, you have a felony and you are not leaving the country for the rest of your life. So just something to think about in terms of sociology.
Are we we're up to
We're in the 90s.
1990. The old smoke a joint, lose your license. George H.W.
Yes.
rears his ugly head again. So here we go. 1990.
Oh, so now we're where I wanted to be. Okay, I want to take a break. I want to take a break because I wanted to get to the 90s, and we did a pretty good job going over 400, just about 400 years of weed and presidents. So we're going to take a quick break and then just do the 90s and today. The 90s and today. Okay, we will be right back.
Final Huff and Puff with TS and Sasha.
And we're back.
We're back.
It's the Cool Nerd Beat Show. That's yes.
And that's Sasha.
And we are live on idobi Radio. We're live. And we are just about to wrap up a comprehensive history of the presidents and their stance and how it affected the culture in cannabis all throughout this time as a country with presidents. It's President's Day today on the 16th of February, and that's why we're doing this. So we are up to the 90s to Bill. Oh, Bill. Okay. So Bill Clinton, right?
Good old Slick Willie.
I mean,
was on, he was on Arsenio Hall playing the saxophone. It was a great
things
time.
were so different back then.
Oh, for sure. And Bill Clinton famously stated in an interview, I did not have, oh no, I'm sorry.
That was the wrong one.
And, I smoked, but I did not inhale.
Inhale. Yeah, he says that with his, his signature Bill Clinton look, and everybody laughed. I remember being like, what does that even mean? Like, what is he even talking about? So whatever. I feel like that was like they were trying to get our toesies in and be like, maybe we're going to relax a little bit. Now, this is the 90s, early 90s, so we're not far away from a little bit of a relaxation in California. Not quite. I mean, with medical and stuff like that. Now we're getting to a place of still weed prevails kind of territory, because maybe he didn't inhale, but he didn't say no. Oh, he's like the cool kid with weed, kind of, and he was like, why don't we think about decriminalizing it? So he kind of floated that idea, and we're entering the 21st century now.
In 2000,
yeah,
Bill Clinton, no longer president, says, yeah, we should probably decriminalize marijuana. And
he's like, okay, bye. And then we got Hillary for the next 20 fucking years. But yeah, so
we've got
so now we get W. Yeah, fucking post 9/11. There's nothing to do with Bush. Me. But yeah, we have Dubs. A crazy time in history. But for the next 4 years, Dubs is like, no, we don't like this. We liked when we got to put people in jail for silly, stupid shit. We liked when we could manufacture addictions and other problems. We love that. Let's do that again. And then 4 years of W happens. That was a real time.
It was. During the Bush years, medical cannabis was happening in California, and it was really starting to boom. There was a lot more access happening, but George W. was sending the DEA in here, and they were prosecuting. They were trying to prosecute. They were more like disrupting the medical cannabis system in California. DEA raids were very much a real thing during George W. Bush's reign of terror.
Now, don't forget, during these years, I still have friends who got arrested for just having a tiny bit of weed on them and having to do rehab to expunge their records if they're lucky. So this is in the 21st century. So a bajillion people are arrested until 2016. From Nixon to now to 2016, we had a little bit of a glimmer, and then no more. It's really intense for a while, and we remember those years. So then, though, thank God, George Bush leaves office after what felt like 60 years,
and we
got
finally,
our beloved Barack Obama.
People were dancing in the streets.
Oh, what a good time.
In 2008, it's a beautiful time.
Yeah, this is when, now mind you, he didn't do anything for weed really, other than make it more common to talk about decriminalization and keeping it up to the states. It was very, guys, this is your deal. I can't even begin right now. We're coming out of a recession and a war, and we're still at war. So you guys, I trust you with what you do.
Barack Obama let the states figure out their medical cannabis situations and pulled funding. The DEA didn't have funding. They weren't making a federal case out of what we were doing here legally under the Compassionate Use Act in California. So Barack Obama backed off. And in California, anyway, medical cannabis proliferated under the Obama administration.
Yeah, it obviously didn't become legal or much medical here. I mean, you could, there was like cancer treatment, stuff like that was starting to happen. It was definitely like traditional market out here, but it was a little more relaxed. Again, like you said, the DEA wasn't getting funding. It didn't feel like very similar to today where, you're just being hunted. It felt like you could consume. So now we are going to get into our final Huff and Puff for real and talk about where we are from 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. Okay.
Donald J. Trump is somehow elected to office and immediately rolled back the Obama era policy by rescinding the 2013 Cole memo, which halted federal marijuana prosecutions in the legalized states. Immediately destroying everything. Donald Trump wanted to destroy everything that Barack Obama has done. Yeah,
with reckless abandon. We just so happen to be in one of those things. So that's his first presidency. I wouldn't say like we took a step back at that time, because it didn't. I feel like it was being more, even though there were people in the government trying to reverse that a little bit, it was less like, it kind of like skated through, and there was some advancements and stuff, and undeniable proof that it is silly that it's the schedule. So we get another president in 2021. We only have a few minutes to do 5 years. Oh, yeah. So in 2021, we have another president, and his name is Joe Biden. And he didn't do shit for weed, and neither did his fucking White House. They didn't do one motherfucking thing for, a lot of
jibber jabber.
And I don't know what the sources are on this, but I guess a few staff members were fired for using for weed. You can't, it's very difficult to hold a government job and smoke weed, again, because it's federally illegal still in 2021, in the year of 2021. So we are currently now in 2026. Weed has been rescheduled.
Well,
taken off of, or no, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened, actually.
There was an
Just
executive
kidding.
order.
Yeah.
An executive order was signed by President Donald Trump to reschedule. But nothing has happened except that. They have not moved forward at all. One bit. 0.0.
So he said he was going to do something. Who knows what that even means and how I can't begin to believe that it's going to benefit the industry. But all that said, it is not a war on drugs at this moment in this way. There's a different war on a whole different slew of issues that's happening with our government now and us. Literally, we're not okay here. But weed is again stuck in this limbo, used as a ploy, used as a little fucking carrot, as, oh, we'll take this, we'll give it to you, we'll make a mockery of how important this plant is to you, and we'll just do it like we did everything else and make it worse. So, happy President's Day. And
Yeah. Fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Harry Anslinger, and remember, don't panic.
it's organic.